Q4 or the end of the year is when print-on-demand sellers make the most money. But the truth is, the sellers who actually win at the end of the year and take home a ton of profit are already prepping for those last few months right now. And one of my very favorite products to be uploading to your Etsy or print-on-demand shops for the end of the year is going to be something for those cooler months, which is a blanket. Now, what I love about selling blankets is that unlike a t-shirt, you could charge $30 to $50+ for a single order, leaving a lot of profit in your pocket. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to find a great niche for these blankets, make a pattern using completely AI tools so you don't have to be an amazing designer, and how to actually get that uploaded onto your Etsy shop with a great title and description to be able to make sales and real profit at the end of this year. So let's not waste any more time and just jump right into this step-by-step tutorial. Now, the very first thing we need to do before we even dive into our niche or the pattern that we're going to be putting on that product is we need to figure out which product we are going to be selling. So I am over on my Printify account, which if you've never used Printify before, they are basically the middleman between you and a marketplace like Etsy. So while you are making the designs and the listings, Printify is doing all the packing, printing, shipping, and all the things to do with the manufacturing of the actual product that is going to go to your customer when they make a purchase on your Etsy shop. So you aren't doing anything like printing stuff in your basement. You're not fulfilling those orders. You are just making the designs and the listings, and then Printify takes care of the rest. So they have tons of different products, like they have t-shirts, they have mugs, hats. If you can think of it, they probably have it on their platform, but I am going to be taking a look at their blankets today, and they have quite a few different options. So I'm going to show you the one that we are going to work on. So on their catalog, I'm just going to go ahead and look up blanket. Now, there are some really, really good blankets here, but one of them is just such a good bang for your buck. It is a really, really low cost, but you can still sell it for quite a bit of profit, and that is their velveteen plush blanket. And as you can see, it starts from $13.24 and less than $10 if you have Printify Premium. Now, if you didn't know, Printify is totally free to use. You can make an account down below and get started selling on Etsy with them for free. But if you get Printify Premium, it's just a low cost monthly subscription, and it's going to get you up to 20% off on most products. So if you're making a few sales a month, it's a pretty good deal. So let's go ahead and get started with this blanket here, and let's just click start designing. Now, the very first thing we're going to need to do is look at this print area size. So it wants us to make something that is 7825 pixels by 9325 pixels. Now, that's going to be really easy to do on our design suite. But before we can jump into making our pattern using AI, first we have to figure out what kind of niche we want to sell in. Now, towards the end of the year, there are so many niches that are very, very profitable. So the big ones you have are going to be Christmas, you have Halloween, Thanksgiving. Those are just some of the really big holidays that you can make sales in. But just the general fall or winter aesthetic themselves can be very, very good sellers. However, you don't want to go and just make an AI pattern that just says something like Happy Fall and has a bunch of pumpkins and leaves on it. That's not going to make many sales because there are so many other things like that. There's just way too much competition for very generic items. Same with something for Christmas. You can't just make a Santa blanket, even if it's really cute, and expect to make sales. If you want to make money in print on demand, you have to find a way to actually stand out amongst a sea of other people. So I always like to suggest crossing something really popular like one of those Q4 holidays with something else to make a more unique design. Now, if you've never taken my free workshop or gotten my free cross niching guide, this is the exact tool that I use all the time to figure out what are some good niches that are a little bit more specific that I can actually make sales in. So how this guide really works is you take something really popular like a holiday, and then you could cross it with something like a career, a pet type, a hobby. So for example, here we have the big niche of Christmas, but then we're going to cross it with the niche of teacher, and that's going to give us a little bit more of a specific niche to target. So teachers by themselves, way too saturated. saturated. Christmas by itself, way too saturated. Put those together and we have a way better chance of standing out. So today we're going to make some holiday themed designs for the end of the year, and I think we are going to cross them with a few different careers. Now, when we are making these AI patterns, I'm going to show you a really cool new feature on Kittl where you can just come up with one design idea and then you can make it into 10, 20, 30 other designs that look really, really similar to it, just making a few tweaks. So that's going to cut way back on the time that it takes for us to make each of our patterns. So I think the first kind of theme that I want to do is I'm going to go with kind of that like fall aesthetic, and teaching is getting up and running. Teachers love to buy stuff about their profession, and a lot of families love to give teachers gifts about their job. So those two niches together are going to be a great combination, and I'm going to show you exactly how to make a really, really easy and fun pattern with this niche. And then we're going to work from there with some other careers and other holidays. So I have gone ahead and I have opened up the design suite that I'm using, which is Kittl. Now, Kittl is probably my favorite print-on-demand design suite. I use them all the time for so many of their amazing features. One of them that I love is they have a lot of ready-to-use templates, as you can see here, where you could literally just change out this word teacher to even something like nurse, 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 and then you would have a completely ready-to-go design that's already made for you. Now, we're not going to actually use any of their pre-made templates today. We're going to be making a pattern from scratch, but using Kittl's AI pattern maker feature. So let's go ahead and click new project, and then we are going to make it the size that Printify has specified for those velveteen plush blankets. So I believe it's 7825 and then 9325 pixels. And then as long as your pixels are the correct size, you don't have to worry about changing your DPI. And then I'm just going to go ahead and make it a horizontal orientation and go ahead and create that. All right, so it has created our first artboard. Now, what I love about making patterns is you really don't have to do a lot of work for these types of blankets. Once you generate that pattern, it's going to cover the entire blanket. So you really can just generate this image, download it, put it on your product, and you're ready to go. So I'm going to go over here to the left-hand side where it says Kittl AI, and I am going to go ahead and describe the image that I want. So I just said cute fall and teacher themed pattern. Now, aspect ratio I'm going to pick is this 19 by 16, and the style I'm going to pick is down here under patterns, and I really like this one that is the cute style right here. There's this cute one too, and a lot of these other patterns like the wallpaper is a really good one to try, but I'm going to stick with this cute one, and I am just going to go ahead and have it generate that image. All right, so after just a couple seconds of waiting, it created this really, really cute fall themed teacher pattern. Now, I love what it did here. It kind of incorporated all of those different elements, and this is going to look fabulous on a blanket. Now, all we have to do to make our design is we're going to just want to cover the artboard 100%. So a lot of times this means you're going to cut off part of the pattern, but that is okay. All right, that looks pretty good. And we could go ahead and download this as is, get it uploaded onto our Printify product, and then have that go over to Etsy. But I want to show you how quick and easy it is to make a bunch of other similar patterns using variations of different kind of holidays or themes, as well as different careers. So this is a really cool new feature called Kittl Flows, and all you're going to have to do is you just click the artboard here and you click this button that says Smartboard. Now, what making a smartboard is going to do is it is going to create a related board that is going to be able to generate something similar to what you already did. So it already knows what kind of style you want, and it's going to be able to make something very, very similar without you having to do a lot of extra work. So say I wanted a really similar design, but I wanted it to be for the profession of nursing instead of teachers. So I could say something like cute fall and nurse themed pattern, and then go ahead and generate that. All right, so after just a second, it generated a really similar nursing style design in that fall theme. Now we could do the same thing, but instead of fall, maybe we want to do something that is more of like that Christmas, but also with like a teacher theme. So we could do cute Christmas and teacher themed pattern. Go ahead and generate that. All right, so it came up with this super cute Christmas version of this original design that we had made in a really similar style. So that is looking very cute. And something else that we could do with these smart boards is if we make another one, we don't necessarily have to redescribe the whole thing. So we could just say make make a new version that is Halloween and teacher instead of fall. So we can go ahead and generate that. All right, and it made a cute Halloween version of this. Now you can keep going. You could do all sorts of professions. So say you wanted like a dentist themed one. You could use very similar prompts to get you something like a dentist themed one or like a winter themed design, or you could take it a whole nother direction and say you wanted to do something like pet types with careers or pet types with holidays. So you could make like a Christmas corgi pattern or a Christmas poodle pattern or a Christmas beagle. So the possibilities are really endless, and I love that you can just add a couple prompts and it will just make some tweaks on the pattern style that you really like. Now, once you're happy with those or you have a few variations you like, you can actually download them all together. So you're going to go over here to this export button, and then you're going to click all artboards and click download. Now, some of the smart boards that we generated were a little bit taller than our original design, but they are the same width, which is the important part, and we can just crop them when we actually upload them to the blankets. We don't have to do any additional steps right there. All right, so our designs are all downloaded. Now we're going to go back over to our Printify account where we had picked out the blanket we're going to do, and we're going to go ahead and upload our artwork. So we're going to go to uploads, click on this button, my device. All right, so we went ahead and uploaded the pattern we just made, and we made sure to make it to the edge of all of these bleed areas so that it prints and it doesn't have any area where it's just white. So we can go ahead and preview what this will look like here. And the finished size is going to be 50 by 60 inches. And that looks cute, but you can also see what it would look like in context. And that looks super cute. So if we're happy with it, we're going to go ahead and just save this product. And now is where we are going to add the mockups we want. So Printify has some pretty good ones that are auto-generated. They're free to use, but I always really across the board recommend changing a mockup to something unique that you made yourself. Now, a lot of times people skip this step, but this can really be the biggest difference between you actually getting clicks and making sales and people just scrolling right on past. And tons of people use Printify, so lots of them have the exact same mockups, and they're just generally not very exciting. They don't necessarily look as real. So I almost always recommend making your own mockup on a site called Placeit. And basically what Placeit is, it's just a subscription where you can get access to thousands of mockups. They're all free to use once you have that subscription. And they have a lot of other print on demand tools there as well, but I generally use their mockups every single time I make a new listing. So we're going to just pick a few of these mockups from Printify that are going to be like that second, third, fourth, fifth photo, but we are going to use a Placeit mockup for the very first photo, and I'll show you how to make those. They just take a minute or two as well. So hang on and we will do that right after we pick the mockups we want. So I typically want a lot of these to show what the product is really going to look like. So I'm going to have the front and the back, and then I like to add a couple in context photos that just give a better idea of the sizing of this. I don't want someone to think that this is going to cover an entire queen size bed. So this will give them a better picture of what this will actually look like. So we're going to save those selections, and then now we're going to go over to Placeit to make that very first mockup photo. So I'm over on Placeit, and something that I love is they have tons and tons of mockups, but they also have very product specific mockups if you are selling on Printify. So if I look up something like the velveteen plush blanket, it is going to have mockups for us to use. Now, I really like this one. It's just more of a lifestyle photo, which I find it does very, very well. But also this one of someone holding it could also do well. But I'm going to go ahead and edit this with our image. We're going to upload our design that we did. All right, so we went ahead and we added our pattern here, and we're just going to click crop, and then it's going to show us a preview of what this mockup will look like, and we can go ahead and download that by clicking this button here. All right, and now back on Printify, we can go ahead and upload that photo, and then we can add it to be the primary one if we want it to. Now, the next part is we're going to start generating our title and our descriptions. Now, this is going to be different for every product that you do. So, for example, if we had done that Christmas and teacher one, that's going to be different than this fall one. But let's go ahead and start generating it. And Printify has a very cool AI tool that's going to help you with this. So let's click generate with AI, and all we're going to have to tell it is what this image is, what it's about, what the niche is, and it's going to help us come up with a very competitive title and description and tags. So I just put cute kawaii teacher and fall pattern, cute Halloween teacher, pumpkin spice, teaching gift, soft blanket. We're going to go ahead and generate that, and it created all of this for us. So let's apply it to the listing. So it just says velveteen plush blanket, cute kawaii teacher and fall pattern, Halloween teacher gift, pumpkin spice, soft throw, teaching appreciation. Let's say fall teaching appreciation. All right, that looks pretty good. And then the the description, it is also auto-generated for us with a lot of those keywords that we had included, and it also added some tags for us as well. Now for the shipping, if we were just shipping in the US, we can click economy and add that as well, which is going to be a little bit of a cheaper shipping price. Then we can go ahead and edit our price here. So if we wanted these to be $39.99, we could go ahead and apply that. And I like clean numbers that ended 99, so things like $19.99, $29.99, or even if you're doing something more unique like $35.99, I prefer that than just doing like $34.73. It just, I think, looks a lot more official and real to the buyer. And then once we're happy with that, we're going to go ahead and publish this. And then once it's published, we just have to make a few tweaks in our actual Etsy store to this listing. So right now our listing is just publishing, which means it's pushing all of the information over to our Etsy account. So if you didn't know, your Printify account is automatically linked with your Etsy, and you just have to set that up one time. It takes a couple minutes, and then every single time you make a listing, it's going to push it over there without you having to do any extra steps. I actually have a full tutorial here that walks you through how to do that in just a couple minutes. All right, so once that is fully published, we can go over to our Etsy account. So you just log into your Etsy, go to your dashboard, and then under your listings, you're going to see that it has pushed everything over with all of those changes that we already made. But there are a couple things that we still want to edit actually on Etsy itself. So we're just going to go ahead and click this gear icon and click edit. And if you wanted to make any changes to the title, description, etc., you can do that right here from the Etsy listing. But we already made quite a few edits over on Printify, so we don't necessarily have to do that. If we wanted to add more photos here, we could do that as well. But there's quite a few different things that are already filled out for us. But one thing you want to make sure is that you have this set to your correct return policy. So I'm going to keep that as no returns and exchanges. Obviously, if there are problems with the item that have to do with printing or the size or the quality, I will take care of that. But I don't just offer blanket returns for every single product because we're making each of these unique to the order. So whenever someone orders it, we are only making the item right then. If we take it back for inventory, we're not really necessarily going to be able to sell it again. And then the next thing that I want to edit is the shop section that this is going to appear on. So a lot of people think the shop section is more just like an organizational tool for your Etsy shop, and it is, but it also acts a little bit as SEO. It's going to tell Etsy like what items this is similar to, what category is it. It kind of acts as an additional tag. So we want to either create a new shop section or put it in one that's really closely associated with this. So I have some like cute Halloween cups, cute Halloween shirts, funny teacher shirts, but I think that I might add a section that's just like teacher gifts, and then I can put anything for teachers that I make in this shop section as well. And then the next thing we want to choose is if we enroll it in Etsy ads or not. A lot of times if you're a new seller, I suggest not starting ads until you've made a couple sales. So if you have a product that made sales, you validated that it is a good item, then you can enroll it in ads. But sometimes you're going to waste a lot of money if you just put everything in your shop enrolled in ads, because you're going to be spending on items that you don't know if people actually want to buy yet. So I would suggest turning that off unless you have a little bit of experience with ads. And then the renewal options, this is just going to either keep updating this item in your shop, keep it there even if it's expired, but I typically like to keep it on manual renewal because if this item hasn't made sales in several months, then I want to make a few edits to it first before I am going to upload it again. So once that looks good, we're going to go ahead and publish those changes, and our listing was updated. So now we can actually see what it would look like to a customer on Etsy, right? That looks really cute, and we can see all of our different mock-up photos, exactly what it will print like. That looks really good, and see our whole title and description as well as the pricing. Now you would follow this exact same process with all of those other variations that I made, and you could do a very similar thing with wildly different patterns as well. So if you didn't want to make anything like holiday themed, you could do all sorts of different patterns out there. I love Kittle's AI generator tool, but I also really love their new flows tool that they added. So if you've never used Kittle before, I can't recommend them enough. It's an amazing subscription, and the way I see it, if they help you get more uploads out and you make just a couple extra sales every single month, it by far pays for itself. So I highly recommend using them as a design suite. And you can also check out Placeit and Printify down below in the descriptions. I'll have all of the best prices there, or any free trials or free accounts if I have them. So you can check those out down below in the description. And if you want even more ideas of some really great niches for the end of the year, I highly recommend checking out this video next. Thanks so much much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.